O giriaparo, o giriaparo la de giri, ifa o giri o rumla, o giri o poe. We might not have the best voice in the world today, but it is such a soothing and comforting call, vibration, frequency that we tap into, to destiny, to Orunmila. We were told once by a very wise elder that that frequency calls the red bird of destiny, or the red bird sacred to Oshun, and says, help us line up our walk of our destiny today. And so as we come to you really excited in this first movement and evolution of Black Moon Spiral Productions, we thought, what better way to enter the door than in a call to destiny. So we're blessed for that. We're blessed for that. For those of you who don't recognize our person, Sangoma or Ludoye, and we've been moving in and out of camera, video, media world. Certainly as we came to this seat today, we thought, wow, how different this is for the emotions running in me when it was just my job to a paycheck to do the 6 o'clock evening news every day. And so now we look, of course, at these news people and we say, well, we're glad we don't do that anymore. And more recently, we are still stopped. It was just stopped when we were in Oyotunji for Obatala by a woman we did not know, who came up and said, I know you, you're a boy Rohingya Day. I watch your show all the time. And so therefore we say, wow. So now this is the third offering coming out to this level where we feel like there's something for us to bring forward, for us all to consider in the conversations waiting to be had, because we're certainly not here to talk to a camera for the sake of talking to a camera. Actually, quite the opposite now. As comfortable as we once were when we came out of college as a theater major. It's not that we shy away from the camera, but we do respect the fact that we don't like to come before it unless we have something really good to say. Which brings us to today's teaching. We thought a lot about, well, what is it? You know, we have such an opposition to talking heads unless they are interesting. What is it that we should bring to you as kind of an opening conversation? And I'm so thankful to my ancestors for everything, but they always chime in when we get to these ponderings of what we should do or what we shouldn't do. And so we usually mark the passage of any time, and we say that in this passage as we all move through Hurricane Florence, before her, during her, and looking forward to after her, with wise, wise sayings that came from my grandma Mimi, that came from my mother's mother. And in this case, in this time, or this season that we're in, you know, I could hear her say, well, you can either volunteer or you can go kicking and screaming. And for those of you maybe that have never heard that saying, or have heard that saying and remember the dumb look on your face when it got said to you, like a deer in headlights, they might give you the good fortune of following up with, wipe that silly and dumbfounded look off your face. Think about what you're asking. Think about what you're seeking. Think about what you're wanting to happen here. And then step number 2, see yourself in the best possible outcome to whatever it is you're asking or wanting or seeking. Oh, see, and as soon as you try to step into that and you have a little struggle, or you can't quite see it, or it doesn't fit, well, then you know, you get more familiar with the choice on the table, which is, if I could see myself in that next place, probably means I've already volunteered. I've already surrendered. I don't have so much resistance to my own good. I'm not still having a love affair with self-sabotage. But if you really can't see any shadows of the best possible outcome, it's a real good indicator that you might still be kicking and screaming and resisting where it is you know you have to go, or what you have to go through to get to the other side of the answer to what you're asking or seeking or wanting. It's kind of like I was saying to my dear sister Earth Mama this morning about those folks that had to get rescued over there in New Bern, North Carolina. You know, given every opportunity and told and pleaded with and cajoled and begged to take up the mandatory evacuation and not chance it, and yet they found themselves calling on other people to risk their lives, to save their lives, beyond a lack of wisdom. So there's that, kicking and screaming. And the older you get, the more, you know, the less that's appealing. That doesn't really ring high on the charts. That, as hard as life is, to have to approach it every morning as you wake up, kicking and screaming against what you don't want to go through in your day. So I thought that was a really interesting story that the ancestors brought to me. You know, the note I put here is, this is what tells you that the choice you're making on the path to wisdom is to volunteer. That's what we just said. And it also says that the choice of a fool is to go kicking and screaming and to resist the flow in some nowhere pity party. Don't you find that's true? If you really look around in the environment of your kicking and screaming, it's filled with Facebook chatter or people you call on the phone to invite into your pity party. And it goes on until some friend who's really your friend and is there to tell you what you need to hear, but probably not what you want to hear, is to give up the pity party. Give it up. Back then, the elders didn't ask young people if they had any questions. They really didn't. They somehow had the patience and resolve to put certain challenges or situations in front of their young people that they knew would bring the questions out. We're going to have that teaching coming up in November, in search of Agba Sanko, in search of elders with integrity. Because as we've moved around in the different woodland gatherings or gatherings in the woods, many a young person has come to us estranged from their families or their elders for one reason or the other, olders or elders that don't really feel worthy of that title or have no clue, no handbook, no instruction guide as to how to approach the seat of the elder, how to hold young people accountable. That certainly you have to know is a foreign land for us, because we grew up among elders that very well knew how to take authority and how to come at a child with the right, the wrong, the peace, the comfort, the support, the encouragement. Their medicine bags weren't empty. And so you have a lot of olders moving around in our society, sure enough, that have nothing in their medicine bag to offer young people. And yet I say, you know, it's not like public schools where they hand you everything. If you really want to know, if you really are a seeker of truth, then you dig for it like people, you know, went out west for gold back in the day. You just keep looking for it. Why? Because it does exist. And we'll be coming along from time to time on these videos with different teachings that do exist. That if you can form the question, there is a guidance to an answer, or just the answer outright. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Because it's going to take work for us to move together in unison, in a collective, toward the new earth. This is why we named our new gathering spot the class collective. And those that are invited there have some entrance to us through maybe gatherings they took our classes, or some of these intensives that are now being offered in Asheville they have registered for, or some that have been with us for the last 3 years for the season of the Raven coming this winter, as to how we fold up 2018 and move into 2019. So there's great things coming, and we love when we come to you, and we wish everyone well. We remind everyone that our lives are prayer in action. And even though we're taking the time to have this with you, all between us is really holding the best and the highest for all those who have to move through this level of purification. These many days of rain and swimming in rain, and property and houses and land destroyed by the level of water. But you know, we cannot say we're shocked. Can anybody here say they're shocked that a country that would find children in cages and no explanation for black unarmed people being gunned down in the street, and on and on and on? We can't even talk about the resident in the White House. Would anybody look at the state of affairs in the USA and say, oh, Mama Nature needed to clean that up? She sent y'all a big, good bath. So given that, we don't like it, we don't wish harm upon anyone, but we recognize what it's here to do, and we look forward to when the waters recede and we all can pick up together and move forward. Be blessed.